All right, so welcome to fall 2024 for INF601 Advanced Programming in Python. Those of you should have all taken 360 with me, unless you happen to take it with a different instructor. This will operate very similarly, so they'll still do the live sessions, the Zoom sessions, etc. I have a few here on campus, which is great. I'm going to have you guys move up here into the rest of the time because, like, clear down there, and there's only 4 of you. So, I'm just kidding. You don't have to do it now, but in general, it's nice to be able to visit with you. With you online, if you can attend at 1:30 in the afternoon on Tuesday, Thursday, you guys are welcome to. You do not have to, it's not required, but I do enjoy having the students in the class, especially the 601, because those of you that had me in 360, like we had specific content to get through. This one works a whole lot better when you guys give me ideas of what you want to see. So 90% of this class will be, what are you interested in? That's what we're doing today, because me just showing you examples doesn't really work. If it's something you guys are interested in, it's a lot of fun. Students in the past have really enjoyed that side of it. Me too. That's actually one of the favorite things about this class. So definitely show up to class if you can. If you guys don't, you know how it worked in 360. Email me, let me know ahead of time you can't be here. No big deal. You can always catch up on the online recording. In this recording section, I will have the playlist for this semester, so you can open up the YouTube playlist. It'll be just like last time. I did remove, or I will remove, all the videos from the previous semesters because this semester will be different in some of the ways I taught. So everything that's happened in the last 3-4 semesters of teaching this, I'm like, okay, now I can revamp and do this the way that actually works as we go through there. With that, there is the syllabus at the top. The syllabus is going to be tentative. So if something changes, I will send it in the Blackboard announcements. You guys will get emails, etc. I don't intend for it to change drastically. It may be just the order in which we do some stuff. All right. So week 1 here, we're going to cover some of the interactive developments. Make sure you guys get all your IDEs set up. We won't use idle like we did in the past. We'll make sure you have your GitHub stuff all set up and working, and then we can jump right in. This tends to take at least a week when you guys go to do the GitHub student pack and that kind of stuff, because you have to submit your requirements of the classes you're in and things like that. There's like a letter I have to generate for you. So I'll explain that when we get in that section, but it takes time. So don't be afraid if it took you a little bit to get set up. That's built into the syllabus for that purpose. As far as mini projects, everything's very similar in the 360 class. Put your name up at the top of the paper with the same comments that we had in the past. The only difference is you will not submit your code on Blackboard. Everything you will submit will be on GitHub. So again, I'll show you guys how to get set up on GitHub. But the idea is when you guys leave this class, you will have a minimum of 5 assignments that you could show a potential employer. So if you guys are in here to try to get a job in Python or code in general, this will get you that portfolio started right off the bat out of this class. When you name those on GitHub, and we'll talk about that in more detail when we get to the first assignment, but the idea is that you need to name it in this exact structure. With your initials at the end, we need to change that. I actually need to fix that and make sure that you actually put your name, because it turned out like last semester, 3 people had the same exact initials and it caused even more issues. It's one thing in the past where I just downloaded the file, I could rename it. I can't do that with full-blown projects in this class. It actually breaks things. So naming is extremely important in this class and how it works. In this GitHub mini projects, tips and tricks, I actually have a video on how you can get GitHub and mini projects all set up. You can watch that. We'll re-record that this year. Matter of fact, I'm just going to hide that for the time being. These are the ways that I want you to name your mini projects. All right. So I will fix that, put that on the other side, but this is the best way to name it. There is the GitHub README documentation, how to do a README, things like that. This is a template that you will use for every single class, and then we will change it according to the project, right? So this is just copy and paste it into the README, then we'll fix it every single time, but this is a template for you to use, all right? Let's see here. What else we got? That gets us right into week 1. You guys got any questions? All right. There's a lot of content in this class, and so the dates are going to be a little flexible as we move through. 2 things specifically in this class. 1, I have a baby due in like November 6th or September 26th. So there may be some class periods where I can't be here, kind of thing. There will also be some Tuesdays where I'm not necessarily here. So I will have either a recording or something to go for the Tuesdays, but Thursdays I should be around for 90% of the time. Some Tuesdays conflict, and then obviously when the baby comes, I'll have some conflictions there for a couple weeks. During that time, I will always be on the live Zoom meetings, so no big deal. All right, so week one, the main thing I need you guys to do, there's a YouTube video out here that shows how Git works. Have you guys used Git or GitHub before? A little bit? Okay, if you haven't, it's no big deal. It's going to show you how Git works. The idea behind GitHub is it is a great way for you to manage your code, all right? It's going to have multiple code revisions. It's going to have multiple commits, things like that. That is the only way that works well in this class, all right? In the past, when you guys worked on your 360 project, you made some changes, it worked, and then you made some changes, and then you broke something else, and now you have to go fix it, right? In this class, because everything's on GitHub, we can just revert back to whatever we had before, which is why you do very small commits as you go through. So I fix the menu. That's it. That's all you do during that commit. You commit it, and then you go on to the next piece. What you don't do is fix your entire project, and that took 3,900 lines of code to fix the project. Yeah, that doesn't work for a commit. So the idea or the name of the game is lots of commits as you're going through. Lots of little small commits. And again, we'll show you how this all means that. But take that to heart. Like, as a matter of fact, some of the homework assignments are you need 15 commits. Like, that's how important it is to make sure you're doing incremental. What I don't want to see is you change a character, commit. Change the character, commit. And that ain't helping you, and that ain't helping anything going forward. All right. Let's see, overview of Python, GitHub, and IDE installed. That we will save for Thursday. So I'm going to hide this one here. We'll do that one Thursday. PyCharm overview, I can leave that one here. We're going to cover a little bit of that today to get you guys up and going. But this video is still valid. This one took a little bit to get everything set up. So I may even hide some of that as we go through there. Okay. We're going to use Python 3.12. You guys can install it just like normal, only we won't be using IDE or idle in this. We will be using PyCharm. You guys are welcome to use Visual Studio Code too. Doesn't matter to me which one you use. The one I'll support is PyCharm because that's the one I actively use in industry. They both work the same. It's whatever one you're familiar with. Okay. The big thing this week is to get your GitHub student developer pack up and going. So if you click on this link here, it's going to take you out to this student developer pack. And the goal behind this one is it gives you a ton of different resources, all for one, like free, right? It's a big group of all this different packages for it. So one of the big things is like, it will give you $200 free worth of credit on DigitalOcean. We will use that in this class. So not only will you produce a project or something like that, it will actually get you to deploy it on the internet for reals. Like, you can go out and people can browse to it and go. Especially if you combine it over here with Namecheap, where they get a free year domain on anything with .me, then you can go ahead and actually have a website up and running with your project by the end of the class. So your final project could be submitted. How many of you guys are grad students? Anybody a grad student? No? Okay. I say that because you're taking it for grad credit though, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So you're a grad student.
Got the confirmatory, but yeah.
Okay. Are you in G or are you in 601?
I think I'm just in the regular currently.
We need to make sure we fix that ASAP.
Yeah.
Because it won't count unless you get 601G.
Yeah, I was gonna run that by you.
Yep. That'll be a big one to get us fixed. So if you are in here as a grad student, the final project has different rubric requirements than the undergrad side. All right. One of those is that you actually have this fully hosted and stuff like that. This year, I'm finally going to be to where I can show you guys how to do it. I will also have hosting here at the university so we can host your guys' projects as we go through. That may tweak midway through semester where you do your GitHub and it will instantly spit off a website for you guys to go to and test and see how everything's working. During development, you guys do everything local. We'll explain all that. But we're testing something new this year. I want you guys to be able to push your stuff out, which is a lot like Heroku. So those of you that have done code, we basically have a local instance of Heroku in this side. We also have a local instance of GitLab, but I will probably still have you guys use GitHub for this side. Okay. Again, there's tons of tools out here you guys get access to for free. So that's the beauty of the Student Developer Pack. Go ahead, click the sign up on that side. Let's see what it does because it changes every single year. And of course, it found me and started logging in. So that's not good. Let's log me out. Awesome. So it is going to require those things that you see there, which is that's before you logged in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see if I can get that.
Yeah, just
I probably need to actually like create an account.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys will go through. So if I click student and that one.
switch me to the regular.
And it logged me back in. Stop. Log me in. That's the problem is it keeps thinking I'm the instructor side, which I might have to do this in an incognito tab and that will take care of it. Yes. Bear with me on the recording here. Go there. Perfect. So it wants you to sign in. You guys can create an account. Did you have to create one yet? Okay, good. So when you create an account, no big deal. Name it whatever you guys want. I don't care about whatever name handle you want as a coder. That's all fine by me. What you will get to is a place where it requests a photo ID and or a documentation to prove that you're in this class. All right. For that, I will send an email out to everybody in this class, and you can use that PDF document to submit and verify you're part of it. All right. That's the reason this takes so long, is making sure everybody's in here by today, Tuesday. Then Thursday, I'll issue all of those different certificates and stuff out there. Make sure you use your Fort Hays email address. That prevents any problems. If you guys use your personal one, it won't work right. So use your Fort Hays email address. You can later change that after the class is over in order to keep this perpetually on there. Says you need class verification. I do. Almost every year I have to create that letter. It's not a big deal. I can send it out. Other links that you guys will want, you can use Visual Studio Code, like I mentioned before. In the editor and the videos and everything else I do, I will use PyCharm. So for PyCharm, if you go to JetBrains Student down here, and from this side, you will want to go ahead and fill out this information that you are a student. What this does is get you PyCharm Professional, and you will want PyCharm Professional. There's a community edition that's free. There's a even smaller edition that's out there, EDU edition. You want the Pro. And the beauty of the Pro is it has things built in for Django and some of the other frameworks, Flask and stuff that we're going through. You will want to take advantage of that. And you guys get it for free.
So I need to uninstall the community edition before doing that?
Yeah, probably. Yep. You might be able to run them side by side, but you definitely want to use Pro for the class. Yep. And it's very easy to fill this one out. This one does not have as much requirements to verify who you are as the GitHub one does. And a lot of that's because if you look back at the Student Development Pack, they give you access to so much stuff that they really want to make sure you're a student to verify what you're doing because of all their partners. Okay. So that is the only homework assignment this week, is to literally go get your JetBrains account and go get your GitHub account. Which is why Thursday I will actually walk people through, because hopefully by then you guys can have access to at least the PyCharm. The GitHub one, you won't get that obviously by Thursday because I have to issue the letters for everybody for that one. All right. And I will just email those out to your Fort Hays email addresses as I create them out.
I have another class where the guy mentioned, I think tomorrow he's going to get our GitHub account or something set up.
Yep. Are you taking it with Ramsey?
Yes.
Same thing. I'll just need one of us. Yep. Yep. Yeah, we both push it because you guys get access to all the free stuff in there. So that will work for both classes. No problem. All right. So yeah, main one, and I'll put an announcement out there. Definitely the JetBrains student before Tuesday. And then the GitHub Student Developer Pack, I will get you the letter out by Thursday. All right. As far as an overview of the class, let me pull back up my syllabus here. So this first week, we're going to get everything set up and going. Week 2 is going to be a real quick review of OOP, because now everything you guys do is going to be OOP based. which is your object-oriented. We'll talk a little bit about file organization and a lot about APIs. We're going to spend about 1 to 2 weeks on APIs. So a lot of this next week and this week 3 is APIs. All right. One thing I wanted to add to this class is us actually building an API as an option. I'll sneak that in here down at the bottom. But with this APIs, what you're going to be doing, and a lot of in your own class here or in your projects and things that you do, this class, instead of having homework, you have 4 mini projects. All right. So you can see those here. You have 1 in NumPy, SciPy, 1 in Pandas, 1 in Flask, and 1 in Django. All right. And we cover all the conversation about what that is and everything. As a matter of fact, I usually walk you through about 50 to 90% of those mini projects, and then you take it off from there. A lot of what we do in this class. So if you guys show up, like, the chances are you don't have a whole lot of homework outside here. With that being said, the homework load in this class in terms of time it takes to get done is way more than 360. All right. So give yourself some actual time to work on the stuff. Due dates, it's never due until the Sunday of the section it's there, just like 360. So for example, if we have quiz 1 due on week 4 here, it would be Sunday night at midnight. If you end up needing a day or 2, email me. I'm not worried about that. My goal, though, is to not let too much of that happen, because otherwise it delays feedback for everybody in the class, because I can't grade it unless I have everybody's in. Otherwise, it's really hard to grade if I grade them onesie-twosie. So you will not have homework in these first 3 weeks. Okay, there will be no homework assignments, other than when we start playing with these APIs, you will end up doing your own homework without knowing you're doing homework, because you're going to have fun with it. All right. What we do in those APIs is we'll go out and explore a bunch of different ones. I've had people in the past do things with like their Steam account so they can pull game stats and credentials and stuff. We had a NFL start, so we started pulling like stats and scores and betting, and we actually built a betting app over the time, odds, that kind of stuff. So we'll play with any API that you guys have of interest. Doesn't matter to me. And I'll show you some examples of ones that we get to go play with. Most of the APIs we play with are free. If you choose to play with a paid for one, then you and I will work out how I grade it so that I can use your key in order to go through there. But almost everything we play with is all free. Okay. After that, we'll get into a little bit of NumPy and SciPy. This is not a data science class. All right. So I'm just going to cover the basics enough that you guys can figure out how to crunch the data out of an API if you guys end up wanting to do a data science project. There's a couple different projects that you can do in this class when we get to the final. So there is no midterm project that goes to the final project. There is just a final project that lasts 5 weeks. All right. So each week is broke up into little pieces that you should have done. Most of you will have the first 3 done right away. That doesn't mean you like kick back and don't do anything. No, don't do that, because most of the students, I've had several students fail this class only because of time management. That's it. They were great students. They just lost track of time. So this is one of those classes where you need to remember to go do your work each week, little pieces of it. I know it's hard, but you definitely got to do it. And I can't babysit you. All right. Let's see. We will cover NumPy, SciPy, which will help us with data science. We will cover Pandas, which is a way for us to do data science way better. So this is the hard way. This is the easier way. All right. Then we will look at a dashboard that allows us to do data science in a really easy manner. So instead of you guys having to generate a massive website, code all the backend and everything else, we use a framework called Streamlit that lets you do it in like 30 lines of code max. And it builds a whole data science website with stats and graphs and charts and the whole 9 yards. So you guys will learn that. That is one style that you can use for your final project. So if you want to do a Streamlit project, you can do a Streamlit project. Yes, they're a little simpler, but then you have to go crunch a bunch of data. So if you're a computer science major and want to do data, great. That's what this one's for. If you are a cybersecurity major, then you probably want to do something in Flask and Django, because you guys could build a cybersecurity themed something as we're going through. It could be a password cracker. I've had guys in the past connect to a database that had all the known passwords that have ever been pulled off the internet from the dark web, and you can go check to see if your password's out there. There's a bunch of different ones I've seen. Lots and lots of cool projects. That's why this class is my favorite, is everybody's different. Like The text adventure games, those are gone now. Now we're doing the cool stuff. Other text adventure games weren't fun, but now we're doing some fun stuff. Week 7, we will cover ChatGPT. In this class, you can use ChatGPT starting week 7. All right. Everything before that, not so much because it's pretty generic and it won't really help you. Starting with week 7, you can use ChatGPT on all your homework assignments. Now, I'm going to actually train you how to use it and how to use it effectively on these homework assignments. What you will find is it will not do your homework for you. You cannot submit it and say, build it. It doesn't do that. But what it can do is help troubleshoot everything. So instead of you sitting there spinning your wheels trying to figure out what's broke, it will do it better. And I've actually learned a lot on this side of it. I will show you all the tips and tricks that I've learned on that. I built full-fledged web applications in less than 3 days using ChatGPT to help me figure out what I'm missing along the way. And I am not a coder. All right. Yes, I do Python. Yes, I do this stuff. I would not consider myself a web application. Now I'm getting paid a couple thousand for it. So can it help you do better? Absolutely. Will it absolutely lie to you? Absolutely. So you can't trust everything that comes out of it. It forgets the code that it gave you before. You have to remind it like it's a 2-year-old, tie your shoes, then we can go on and go outside kind of thing. And then it will forget it has shoestrings and all of that. But it's cool because it does help you. Don't get me wrong. It's awesome. So yes, ChatGPT is totally allowed in this class. I totally encourage it. You can use other AIs that are out there. It doesn't matter to me. What I'm getting at in this is I know it can't do it for you. You have to still be able to build your project and get everything going. But I'm perfectly okay if you use that kind of stuff. From there, we will get into Flask. So the idea behind this class is the computer science has a 601 program as well, right? Their advanced Python course. They are going to teach you the GUI that is baked into like Python. So it's basically meant for a system. It's either going to be written for Windows, it's going to be written for Linux, it's going to be written for Mac, whatever it is. It is not universal. I don't teach that way because today hardly anybody runs those kind of apps. Everything's web-based, right? Why would I build it for one platform when I can browse it on the web on my cell phone, my watch, my whatever, XYZ. So the stuff you guys build should be able to be working on a tablet, a phone, a PC, a whatever. It will work on anything, right? Because it's web-based. So the first one that we teach you on the web-based side of it is Flask. Flask you can think of as a very basic web application. If you don't need a whole lot of fanciness, backend database, and some other stuff, Flask is a very good option, all right? The problem with Flask is you actually have to do a lot of the hand stuff. So if you don't need a ton of frills, it's great because it's very minimized. You don't have to learn a bunch of code. The problem is it's very minimized and it doesn't have a lot of code. So if you need to do a bunch of advanced features, you have to write a bunch of code to do that. That's where ChatGPT and those really start to help on that side to get you in the right path to go choose the right thing. What you'll see when I do these kind of things with ChatGPT is the beauty of it is it will give you an overview. Here's 10 steps to do what you wanted to do. Great. Now I can take step 1 and I can start tackling step 1. Then go to step 2. Then I can start tackling step 2. That is where that AI really, really helps because it's like, I want to get here. It tells you exactly how to get there, but then you have to do the individual chunks. And you can get it to help you with those chunks, but there's caveats to that. All right. So Flask will be in. You guys will have a quiz with that and then a mini project based around Flask. And then we get into Django. And Django is basically your kitchen sink. All right. So it will do a full-fledged web app. There's tons of niceties built in, including the backend database management, user access. So if you have something where you want users logging in and having different profiles and things, definitely want to do the Django side of the house. Most people think that they can write better in Flask because it's easier until they start doing advanced stuff. And then they're like, oh yeah, I got to code that myself. Then they switch over to Django. All right. I encourage you to do Django side of the house on this. If you guys remember in 360, when I talked about how I got into Python and built a little app that then I just sat back and collected a paycheck for a while, that was a Django app. All right. It was a web service that just handed out username and password, so I didn't have to do that anymore in my life. It was great. Sounds simple. It was huge and had a bunch of database backend to do that. You guys will learn that stuff. You guys will have a midterm project there, or your midterm exam, and then starting week 12, you guys are working on the final project till the end of class. In this 601 class, I still do the instructor final review where we schedule a meeting. These meetings are an hour long. So instead of 30 minutes, I schedule an hour. It doesn't always take an hour, but they generally take longer than the 30 minutes. Most of that is 10 to 15 minutes of me getting your project fired up and working, because I have to download it from GitHub, install all the packages, then deploy it, then go ahead and test your code. So it takes a lot longer. I'm trying to bypass that by the time we get to the end of the semester, where when you guys commit your code to GitHub, my server finds you, changes your code, and fires it up as a website. So I don't have to wait to download all that stuff every time. Automation's great. Any questions over what we're doing? I know I talk a lot and I know I talk fast. So if you need me to slow down on stuff, let me know. The first couple things that we play with, the APIs and stuff, that's a lot of fun. Like, you literally tell me an API. Like, I give you a list of all the stuff on here and we're like, let's go play with that one. And then we go play with that one, and then that one, and that one. So come in here or try to think of ideas of what you would like to do to get to your final project. So I often get those kind of questions, like when they get to the Flask and to the Django side, can I use this on my final project? Absolutely. So if you decided you're going to use Flask, even though you haven't even got to Django yet, right? And you want to keep moving through on this, and then you can continue this code to extend on, great. What you can't have is one mini project start at 1 and work your way all the way through 4, or that won't work. Now, the concept you can do, right? So say you want to build a website to inventory all your books and display your favorite movies or whatever else. Yes, you can absolutely do that when you're going to play with the API in the first couple ones to get the data. And then you're going to expand that idea into a Streamlit, and then into a Flask concept, and then to a Django. That's perfectly fine. Matter of fact, I encourage you to do that, because by the time you get to your final, you already know all the pieces. You just need to put it all together and polish it. You guys got any questions? It's a lot of stuff in one day. I get it. And it's day 1, right? When we get in here, you guys will have access to that final project and the rubric ahead of time, like way ahead of time. I'll probably publish that here in the next week or 2. There's some things I want to tweak and clean up that's kind of changed over the years, and what I'm actually grading and looking for, kind of thing. Anybody else? Nothing?
So my 4A's ID card will probably work for that if I take a picture of it, right?
I believe so. It's asking for that. It will ask for you to have your class or that letter. Almost always it'll ask for that letter. Even if you submit the one, it'll ask for the letter. So. All right, end of the recording.